Hello, and thank you so much for checking out this webinar. Today we're going to be doing a really neat activity. It's an expressive arts therapy activity called Emotions in the Sky. You're going to need a couple of supplies to participate. You're going to need a piece of paper, and you're going to need drawing supplies. You can use just a pen or a pencil if you'd like, or if you want to get colorful, you're welcome to grab some colored pencils, some crayons, paints, whatever you'd like. You could even get glitter glue if you want. Maybe you're going to make this a collage. The medium that you use for this activity is really open, and there's not really any rules about it. So the only directions that there are for participating in this activity are to draw a scene with one or more of the following elements. Sun to represent optimism, cloud to represent pessimism or sadness, and star to represent hope or enthusiasm for a brighter future. So you can use these in any way that you want to, in any way that you want to interpret them. And I'm actually going to go to the next slide, and I'm going to be drawing out my own scene, just in case you want to see an example or you need some company while you're drawing. But if you want to keep this page up, you can feel free to pause at this point. Okay. So this is something that really does change from day to day, and sometimes it can change from hour to hour. It depends on how fast you notice your mood's changing. I'm really gonna have to sit on this for a moment and think about what's gonna be in my drawing. So feel free to take as much time as you need to even think about where you are right now. I guess I'll just jump into it. And you don't need to be a good artist at all to partake in this activity. Anything is fine. One thing that I notice when I do this activity is sometimes the less I plan it out and the more I kind of just jump into it, the more I find out about kinds of things that are going through my mind and feelings that I'm having that maybe I wasn't aware of before I started drawing. Sometimes, especially times like these, it can be hard to express our emotions with words, and that's why these kinds of art techniques can be pretty helpful. think that's how I want it to be. All right, so next slide, we're going to move on to some reflection questions. But if you still need some more time on your drawing and you have been drawing alongside me, go ahead and pause here. So first, how did you represent the symbols? I know I tended to use a lot of swirling patterns in mine. With the sun, it was kind of a spiral, and there were spirals in the clouds. I didn't really think too much about it, but hopefully that kind of points to a flexibility I have in that optimism and pessimism. The hope was a little bit sharper, though. I didn't go with kind of a round shape for those. Maybe it's just because that's how I draw stars, I don't know. And which ones are emphasized and which symbols are minimized? I could definitely see that the clouds were emphasized in mine. There were really big clouds off to the right-hand side, sort of getting smaller as they moved towards the sun. And the sun was off to the side. The stars were certainly minimized. They were really small, especially near the clouds, with only a couple of large ones kind of gathered at the left corners. And kind of thinking about it, it was like the clouds were in opposition to the sun, right? That pessimism and that optimism were sort of at odds, and even the one cloud that was nearer to the sun was covering it up. But I don't really know what direction the wind is blowing, or if it's blowing the clouds at all. Maybe they're still, maybe that pessimism is going to lie far away from the optimism and not really bother it. Or maybe those clouds are rolling in and there's some fear about the pessimism or the sadness kind of taking over the optimism in my life right now. But I don't really know, again, how that sky is going to move from here. That's kind of up to me. This just gives me a snapshot of where exactly I feel I am right now. And even though the hope was kind of harder to see, I don't know if it was the same for you all. That hope for a brighter future can be especially difficult right now because we're all focused on the present moment, just since everything is sort of strange and new and different. So sometimes that hope for the future can be harder to see. I know that for me, those stars were really small when pessimism is around, but they were a lot larger when they were being protected by that optimism, by that sun. It was sort of like the hope was hiding behind the sun, hope was hiding behind the optimism. And so really focusing on optimism maybe is going to be a good way for me to feel hopeful about a brighter future. So think about your own drawing now. Next question, how does your sketch relate to your current mood and motivation? Does it? Like I said, as I was drawing, sometimes I'm not even aware of my current mood until I start using an activity like this to sort of describe my mood in ways that are not with words. I think that it probably is a pretty good description of my mood, especially that not being certain about where my mood is moving from here. And sort of that empty space between optimism and pessimism. What is there in that space? And motivation can be hard when you don't know where you're heading. And that sort of uncertainty in my drawing perhaps is a reflection of maybe less motivation. But what about you all? And the final question is sort of your challenge going forward. What are you going to do to improve your outlook? So think about your drawing, think about your current mood. How do you want your drawing to look? tomorrow, next week, next month, years from now? And what can you do in your life to change the elements of your drawing that maybe are of concern to you, right? I mentioned how my stars are pretty small. So how can I improve that outlook for the future? I mentioned before they were kind of hiding behind that optimism. So maybe the optimism is what I should work on, especially to keep it shining brighter in case that pessimism starts to encroach on it. And there are so many cool things to do to boost your optimism. Personally, I really love gratitude journaling. And I think that it's a great booster for that. There's a really simple way to do gratitude journaling if you need some structure. If you journal about 3 to 5 things you're grateful for about 5 days a week, that can really make a difference. 3 to 5 things, what you're grateful for and why. You can have an actual journal, or maybe just write it down in your notes app on your phone. Other things that you can do: mindfulness meditations, deep breathing activities. Maybe it's talking to a counselor at our center. We're still offering telehealth services. Self-care, working on a stable routine, working on sleep hygiene. What can you do to improve your outlook? And there you have it. So if you need any additional resources or coping skills, again, things to move you towards that improved mood or that improved picture, check out our website. If you go to und.edu/student counseling/SCC news updates, we have really wonderful resources that we've collected for you all to do at home. Again, we're still providing telehealth services, so if you do feel like you need to talk to somebody, go ahead and give us a call at 317-788-5015. And of course, if you're ever in crisis, connect with the Community Health Network Crisis Line, 317-621-5700. You can also always call 911 if you're in immediate need of services. All right. Well, take very good care of yourselves. I was so glad that you broke out into your creativeness with this activity, and we'll see you next time. Bye.